Hola Aldo,
Hola Juan.
how are you? Welcome.
Hi Juan. Hi everyone.
Hi everybody. Translators, thank you for being here and recording people. It's very good to see you, Aldo.
Yes, Juan, it's amazing to be here. It's an honor.
I think
There's Tim.
Tim is gonna be joining very soon.
I think he's here.
Here, but
Hola
I can't
Tim.
turn on my video.
Cool. Welcome, Tim. Thank you for showing up. We know you're a very busy person. You should let, okay, 1 second. I see. Just one last thing, setting up interpretation. Berta is doing the Spanish. Natalie the Ukrainian. No, Natalie the Russian. Areta the Ukrainian. Katie the Chinese. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming. Welcome.
Hi Tim.
Hello, how are you?
Very good. And you?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Okay, so let me just give you a brief introduction on what are we doing here tonight. This is session number, okay. Wait a moment. Something's going on with the language. Yeah, every interpreter should be, according to my tech table, everything is good. I hope. So this is session number 86. We are on our way to reach the 100 sessions, 108, hopefully, it's an auspicious number. And what we are doing these days is we are going through a collection on sessions about the Bodhisattva Charyavatara. It's a beautiful work that Master Shantideva wrote. Like what? I don't know, what is it? What is it? Now I'm lost. It's like 70, 50 after Christ. How many years ago is that? Like almost 1,400 years? Oh, now I can't hear you. But anyways.
Like 1250 years around that.
A long time ago.
Imagine, just think about that. Like 1,200 years ago, people were already wondering about these things. This is so beautiful. And we are here struggling with the same things, right? Anyways, this is a beautiful guide on, basically we are on the subject on how to develop bodhicitta. What Master Shantideva does in his work is very, I find it very, very interesting, because first he talks about what it is. We already did that. And then he talks about why it's good for us to get it. So he tries to sell the product, right? But then he say, okay, once that you know what it is and why it's gonna be so amazing for your life and everybody else around you, if you get to get it, now we have to start talking about the steps to get it. And first he say, you have to get ready and clean yourself. He goes big into purification. Not only that, but first he says, okay, first you have to present some nice offerings to the 3 jewels. We talked about it already. How to present offerings to basically an absence, because as you may know, the 3 jewels are very connected to emptiness. And emptiness is an absence, something that is not there. Interesting, right? Then how to do postrations, develop this attitude of admiration for the 3 jewels again, an absence, mostly, in a way. And then he say, okay, and now you're ready to get yourself like a deep bath, I don't know how to call it, like cleansing process. Before you get I like to think about it just in a funny way. Bodhicitta is like a hardcore substance. It's like being on steroids or something, that it's gonna enhance your life and your abilities and so much things in you. But if you want to be able to hold like these superhero movies, right? I don't know if you ever watch Captain America, like the movie Marvel. He gets like a special treatment and his body just becomes like super powerful and stuff. I like to think of bodhicitta something similar in a way, like a certain kind of energy that allows us to do so much good for this world, for everybody really at the end. But if you want to get that, you need to get your body ready. And one of the first steps to do it is to purify, take away the bad things. Now, once that it's clean, you can get the actual fun substance. All right. So that's the context. We are here tonight to talk about the first step on purifying ourselves. As you may be familiar with, we are talking about the 4 powers of purification. And what surprises me about this reading we are using is that Master Shantideva and also Gyelsab Je, they go very deep into each one of them. So each one of them has like a lot to explore. Even just the first one we are doing tonight is called destruction power, many times known as intelligent regret. So I would like to start this talk by asking the panelists, Tim, Aldo, thank you so much for coming. Maybe they don't really need an introduction because they are worldwide famous by now. Probably, I don't know, but I'm sure most of you know them. Can you describe in your own words, what do you understand by intelligent regret, and why, in your own experience, this plays a very important role on purifying the bad things we have done? Maybe, yeah, anyone. I was about to ask Aldo because the team camera went off a little bit, but yeah, why don't you start, Aldo, and then Tim as well.
Okay. Thank you, Juan. Well, first of all, I was wondering because I think in the Sutra and the 4 practices, they are presented in a different order, and then Master Shantideva and Gyelsab Je present them in a different order, and then it's a different order as we usually know the teachings outside this Master Shantideva ACI, where we know the 4 powers, and intelligent regret is like number 2 when we listen to this teaching, like outside ACI, like more in DCI, or you know, the 5x4, we see intelligent regret in number 2, and Master Shantideva puts it in number 1. So that's like also like a good debate why the different orders. But I think intelligent regret is basically, it's just to know you screwed up. You did something that's not gonna be good for you, you know? It's just like when they say, like, you see that you're with your friends and you see they take some poison and they fall dead, and then you realize you took the poison too and it's gonna hurt you. It's kind of that feeling when you know your most valuable and precious and beautiful asset, your mind and your heart, and you put like a small stain on it. So you don't want it there because you know it's going to, the outcome, it's going to be a result that's going to hurt you. So you want to clean it. You are like, I wasn't mindful enough, I was careless, and I did this mistake. So you really regret it because you know it's not gonna be good for you. And then if you go like a bit deeper, since the reality it's coming from your seeds and you experience the world through your mind, if you go deeper in this idea, the regret is if you make a mistake by hurting someone else and you put like a bad imprint in your mind, then you're hurting like the whole world, because the world is gonna be experienced by that by that how do you say, by that stained mind. So it's, if you go like very, very profound with the Flaksam Namdak, personal responsibility, we have to be very careful and we have to regret our careless mistakes of hurting someone else or not being kind or just being like sloppy. Because really the deeper repercussions is that we're just creating a worst world. And at the end, what we really want is to create a paradise where everyone can achieve their dreams and where everyone is happy and bliss. So the regret, you can take it like to a very deeper level, to a very deeper personal responsibility of how your actions have a great effect on your mind and therefore in the whole world. So it's just like being very, very, very mindful of trying to be the best you can with your mind and try to put the best imprints that are full of love and compassion. And I think it's a beautiful practice. And also the reading is amazing. I really recommend that reading. I was reading today and it's just delightful, the reading. And they mentioned a lot of, maybe I'm talking about confession. Maybe I'm jumping in a further question, Juan, but they talk a lot about confession in the Intelligent Regret. And I think it's very connected because it's just, you made a mistake and then you want to confess, because you did it and you want to like open your heart. Actually, I like that in the preliminaries, the word for the part in the meditation preliminaries for confession in Tibetan, I think is shakpa. And I like that word because it's like a onomatopoeia. It's like shak, pa. It's like opening your heart. Like if you cut a log of wood with an axe and it's like shak, and then pa. And that's what you have to do with your heart, really, to open like, wow, oh, I did this mistake and I really recognized I did this. My mind wasn't in the right place and I did this mistake. So I open my heart and I confess. And I think that's a very important part of the intelligent regret, because you did this mistake and you want to be open about it and regret about it. So that's my take about the intelligent regret.
I really like how you connected with the confession part, because it seems to me that in a way, acknowledging, it's a big part of the beginning of purifying. And I'm so surprised when I do the reading how, I don't know, like 90% or more, who knows, really, of the bad things we do are connected with a lack of understanding. And in a way, acknowledging something is taking us closer to understanding. Acknowledging and understanding are very related in many different ways. So I like it. It seems that wisdom, understanding, acknowledging something, it's already a big step on purifying. I would like now to ask Tim, how will you describe the importance or the role in this intelligent regret when we want to purify something we have done? bad thing we have done, I guess. What do you think is the essence of intelligent regret?
You know, I'm gonna be like Ben Kramer, and I'm gonna take a different tact eventually on this.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great.
But I'll answer your question first in a certain way. You know, the four powers show up, right? It's sort of a logical thing that happens. You learn about how to plant a seed. Like you learn about all the different things, what happens when you do something, the kind of results you're going to get, you know, how to create the things that you want in this life, or even deeper in like more ultimate sense in your spiritual life. And then you come up against, you're like, wow, I learned how to do this, but do I have to experience the results that I did of things I did previously, right? And those things that you've done previously before you had any kind of understanding, right? What do I do with that stuff? Like, you know, what can I do? And it's a natural progression of learning. And then you say, oh, well, yeah, there's this thing called the four powers, right? There's this thing called, how do you deal with seeds you've already planted, right? And I personally, I have a different relationship with it. And there's two things I want to bring up. One is, you know, the idea of purifying, you know, like if you have a bucket of water, right, that's, you know, full of mud and dirt and everything, right? Like, how do you get the dirt out of the water, right? You could, you know, you could get you know, you could have another bucket and put a strainer on top and then pour, right? And then the dirt stays on top and then you got pure water underneath of it, right? However, right, you know, that's not quite how purification works. You're not like, it doesn't give you a justification. You're like, well, I just, you know, I yelled at somebody yesterday, so I'm going to do the four powers. So I'm going to purify that seed. Well, what the hell does that mean? Like, no, I still have to see the result, right? I yelled at somebody yesterday. I got annoyed by somebody yesterday. All the things that happen when you get irritated, right? You know, and the four powers for me is more like the intelligent regret of, damn, I have to see a result, right? It's not, oh, I'm going to do the four powers and do an antidote and blah, blah, blah. And then therefore I'm not going to see the result, right? No, I have to see that result because I did it. So the intelligent regret part is I did it, right? Dang, I did it, right? And so I have to see a result from that. And I'm going to do this practice so I can get that seed to ripen as quickly as possible so that it doesn't grow into some monster. Like it's going to grow into something, but it's not going to be a monster, right? You know, and I just finished teaching the Diamond Cutter Sutra course, and there's a whole section in it that basically says, oh yeah, by the way, when you study emptiness, get ready for purification, right? And what that means is get ready for all those bad seeds that go off sooner than they would have. And this is actually where I want to go. Okay, right. So, you know, it talks about like when you start studying the Diamond Cutter Sutra, you're going to have negative seeds ripen. You know, and actually the best part of it was, you know, it talks about, you know, instead of a seed that was destined to ripen to send you to, you know, some kind of negative rebirth, right? Some kind of negative place might ripen as a headache, right? And it was lovely for me because I had a 3-week migraine while teaching this course. Like it was nasty, right? And I'm like, God, I just saved myself ages, right? Maybe lifetimes, maybe, right? And that was kind of fun in that way, but the seed still has to ripen, right? The seed still had to ripen. It just ripened in a little, yeah, I was uncomfortable. Yeah, I had a headache and blah, blah, all that other stuff. But it's a lot less, it's a lot more comfortable than being surrounded by, read whatever story from ACI 8 you want, right? About all the different things that can happen to us. But there's this other part that happens, and this is where I, was trying to dig out of the reading as well. In the Diamond Cutter Sutra, it talks about, all the seeds that are planted with, and this is what I thought of when you said one a little bit ago. Everything that you did without understanding, without wisdom, right, is like, that seed is like caked, covered in misunderstanding, right? And I love the reading because it was like, yeah, doing nice things for your friends because you like them isn't going to help you in the end. Sorry, Juan, I like doing nice things for you, but I'm not going to anymore. I'm just kidding. No, but, it's like, you got to understand why, and the idea of, how does one become enlightened and burn off all those bad seeds, right? How do you get rid of all of those negative seeds and do it quickly? And what they say is, it's not so much that you're pouring that water out onto a strainer and then you're left with the clear water. It's more like all that mud just goes to the bottom and it can never come out again. And I've been wondering why, and I think there's a hint in the Diamond Cutter Sutra about it, about seeds. What's the difference between seeds planted with wisdom and the seeds planted with ignorance, or seeds planted with misunderstanding, right? And I think if you can attack the misunderstanding and your mind becomes less and less in a misunderstanding mode, then seeds planted in misunderstanding can't possibly ripen.
Can you repeat that?
Yes. Seeds planted in misunderstanding require a misunderstanding mind for them to ripen in.
Wow. Okay.
So if your mind is in a mind of wisdom, then how could a misunderstanding seed ripen? This is my debate. This is my debate.
That's amazing. That's
so
amazing.
So my question really is like, well, what is the role of intelligent regret? Right? I think the role of intelligent regret is to be like, damn it, I'm stuck in misunderstanding. And I'm, like, imagine, just think about if I just look at my life, when I get pissed off and angry, what happens to everything around me? It just becomes a cesspool of misunderstanding. I get mad at one person, then I get mad at another person, and then I'm tired, and then I'm grumpy, and then this happens, and this happens, and it becomes a, just, it just goes,
Yeah.
right? So, for me, intelligent regret is like, damn it, I'm going to get stuck once again in a mind that will arise out of misunderstanding. And so then I'm going to be forced to continue experiencing this samsaric realm without a way of getting out. So that's what intelligent regret means to me today, is like, I misunderstood that. And you misunderstood something when, the moment you have a reaction to it, even a good reaction sometimes, right? As soon as somebody says something and I get tight, and you've seen me, Juan, when Aldo's seen it, like when I get like, right? Once it happens, like it's over. Like everything that happens after that, you're done until you can interrupt it. And if your intelligent regret meter is strong, you can be like, oh my God, I'm getting mad at nothing right now. I'm not mad at Aldo. I'm just having a seed ripen because Aldo said something, and I'm not mad at you right now, Aldo, but I'm just using an example because you're sitting here, right? How about this? Someone I did get mad at 2 or 3 days ago, like as soon as I got upset inside, forget any wisdom, gone. It was just gone. And I walked out and my regret was, damn, that was ignorant. That was that's just going to create more misunderstanding me, misunderstanding mind.
So I find it very interesting that now you're talking about once you get upset. Why is this? Because in the root text, in the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, Master Shantideva first goes through, as Aldo mentioned, the confession. Very interesting that the way he does it is by like, I call all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to hear what I have to say, right? Like, please listen to me. And this topic also goes into sometimes you confess in front of a friend, in front of a teacher, sometimes in front of a group of very special people for you. But yeah, I think it's connected to this, like acknowledging first, and all that you say, Tim, regards wisdom. Because once that you acknowledge that it was not a very good thing to do, because the result is gonna bring, it already proves that you have somehow some certain notions on how reality works. It's like already bringing your mind to this idea of, how should we call it? Karma and emptiness. Seeds and emptiness. So it's already somehow taking you to this enlightened field where enlightened or wise seeds can ripen. So now, then Master Shantideva moves on a little bit more, and then he also says, like something like, in all my lives, I've been planting bad seeds because, as you say, Tim, friends and enemies. And it's very interesting because in the commentary, Gyelsab Je already interprets this as, okay, Master Shantideva is already talking about friends and enemies, or friends and enemies. And this is connected towards attachment and anger. It seems that ignorance, we have heard this explanation before, like ignorance is like the very root, and from there to like the evil helpers of ignorance, attachment and anger come, and they are like their forces, like their armies or something. Master Shantideva says that the bad seeds we have planted are because of our attachment and because of our anger. So what I would like to ask you next, both of you, is what about situations? Let's say we really want something, but it's not very clear if the way that we are gonna use to get it is good or bad. Like, I want something that I believe is gonna be very good and my motivation is good. Let's just simplify and talk about money. I want money. Why? Because if I have the money, I can help so many people, and I can help whoever, like, I don't know, my family members, or I'm just imagining situations. So I get a chance to maybe somehow, it's like, I'm not really gonna hurt anybody, but maybe I may do something that it's a little bit obscure, that maybe avoid some taxes. I'm just pretending, right? Like putting forward like a moral dilemma. And then it's like my motivation is good. The result I want to get is good, but maybe the means towards that result are not totally clear. How would you connect this with ignorance, attachment, anger, and the result is gonna get? Like, how would you advise someone? Because in a way, we should be able to get everything we want. Isn't it the case? We should be able to imagine how our perfect reality, life, paradise will look like, and have exactly what we want, but always, as sometimes it's called, enlightened self-interest. how will you talk about how to move from desire and anger or disliking to enlighten desire, enlighten wanting, enlighten disliking, and how to prevent then ourselves from planting bad seeds? Does any thoughts come to you, Aldo, with this?
Well, I think you kind of were talking like of this, like the Robin Hood syndrome. And I
Maybe.
think Buddhism explains very clearly and like very simple, like what's like a mixed seed, a mixed karma, what's like a good karma, what's like a bad karma. And even though your motivation is, you can say good, but the action you make, it's not good, then so it's very clear. It will be just like fooling yourself, thinking that if you avoid taxes, you're gonna get more money, even though your motivation is that with that money you're gonna help Casa Huichol. It's kind of just like fooling yourself. And I think like through Buddhist practice, you can sum it up in don't fool yourself. So, and then it's like subtle ways of fooling yourself. It's like, come on, just like simple language. Okay, so you're telling me that if you plant this like bitter radish, you're gonna get this sweeter fruit. It's just like, duh. It's impossible. But if you fall in that trap, then I loved Tim's explanation about the intelligent regret connected to the wisdom. It's because in a way I think you're lacking wisdom and you're like more attached to this idea or to the outcome, but you're being like uncareful or fooling yourself with the ways or the means you're gonna do it. And I think if you're, like Tim said, if you're like really, if you have like if your mind is set really on wisdom, you're gonna avoid any bad deed, even the subtle ones. And really, this is like the Bodhisattva Charya Vatara, and then that's why I talked about the personal responsibility. And if you take it deeper, like to a really like deep personal responsibility, like you're not only like planting a bad seed, but you're like creating a worse world, because the world is experienced through your mind and through your seeds. So it's just like, come on, you're fooling yourself. And we do it like, well, I'm not talking about you guys, but me, I fool myself a lot in many little subtle ways. And I think as a true Buddhist practitioner, as like in my case, I do the 4 powers very frequent. When I realized I was fooling myself and like subtly, I don't know, I go with my mom and subtly I judge her or something, then I realize and I catch my mind and I was, no, you're justifying why you're judging her, but come on, it's just like a subtle way of planting a bad seed. And then in that moment, like I do my 4 powers and I do my 4 powers. And I think it's a beautiful practice. We should keep doing it like constantly. And the key is just to really be very mindful and don't fool yourself and don't fall in those mental traps that you're like, that you can bend the laws of karma or not possible. So I think the key here is, like Tim said, wisdom. We have to keep studying, we have to keep practicing more and more, and keep training our mind more and more, and have like a mindset that is imbued with the correct view of emptiness more and more and more and more and more. And then the debate Tim said is that if you if you like only like the bad seeds. He said that bad seeds, you plant them with misunderstanding. So they must ripen in a mind that is in misunderstanding. So basically he said that if you get rid of the misunderstanding, because to plant a bad seed, you have to have misunderstanding. You said 90%, but I will say 100%. So Tim said, if you get rid of your misunderstanding, then no more bad seeds are going to ripen. That's a good debate. But then you would say, so then an area doesn't get, in the mental stream of an area, no bad seed ripens ever. But I've heard that small, little, tiny seeds. But then the debate is, so the area has sometimes small spaces of misunderstanding for that small seeds to ripen. I don't know. It's a good debate. But I think the connection and the key must be wisdom, and wisdom in the whole extent of what wisdom means. And that it's like your safeguard from these little attachments or these little like tricks or fooling yourself that you can, these mental traps that you can be caught with.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Can I respond, or do you want to?
Yeah. I was about to ask. And there is also a question.
Tim's debate is awesome. Huh? It got me like my hamster like.
Hey. There is also a question in the chat. It's basically the same, but we use the time to put it there. It says, how to fulfill my cherished desires with the help of the system. And whatever team, if you want to answer whatever you had in mind, go ahead.
All right, cool. So couple of things. One, an Arya still sees things coming from the outside. They just have they have permanently ended the one affliction that understands that it's wrong, or understand that it's not wrong. How about that? Right. So the only thing that they know is like they don't believe what they see. Right. So yeah, stuff still happens. Right. This is the great. We can keep going deeper in this debate. But the thing that I thought about during this reading, what Aldo was saying about the subtle seeds, right? Like, how do you subtly trick yourself? Right. In what way do you we have an expression in English called spiritual bypassing, right? You use your good methods to then justify your bad deeds, right?
100%, 100%.
Right. So here we go. So you asked the question, like the question here of like, this is where I wanted to go. So the question Subhuti asked is perfect. How do you get the things that you cherish the most cherished things in life, right? So the things that, when we start teaching this system, like, it's like, oh, like, well, what, excuse me, what do you want? Like, oh, well, I want money. I want spirit. I want financial independence. I want health. I want a really good relationship. I want all of those things, right? Okay, well, you can do the 4 steps. Great. Okay, do the 4 steps. Wonderful. Then you go, well, dang, I just learned that seeds grow, therefore I must have done some bad things that I have to experience. Correct. So let's do the 4 powers. Yay, right? So you start on this stuff, right? But then at a certain point, and I think this is what this reading is pointing out, is that those, quote, worldly goals, if you don't have a deeper understanding in mind when you're getting them, or even how you got them, or how you keep them, then you're just spiritual bypassing. And you're forgetting, you just forget that all good things come to an end. Except maybe 1 or 2. But most good things, mainly all good things come to an end. Okay, how about that for the debate ground? Because you'll get a lot of money and then you won't have money. You get a body and it's healthy, and then it's not healthy, right? You get a relationship, and then either one of you dies first, or you happen to die together in an airplane crash or something, right? You know, like, it all will come to an end. Because you were born, you have to die. So like, how do we move from, like, as a teacher, how do you move somebody from, you know, I just need more comfort in my life. Tim, how do you do it? Okay, well, let's do the 4 steps. Great. Right. But then you have to get the student to a point to understand that the things that you get also wear out. And if you don't understand that, you're just setting yourself up for more unhappiness, because, again, because your mind is stuck in misunderstanding 100% of the time, right? Maybe 99.99999%. Maybe you have a little blip, like a random blip, right? So it's stuck there. So how do we use a mind that's stuck in misunderstanding and hope to God that someday it doesn't have it, right? You know, how do we unravel all of that? And, you know, and that's part of the path of preparation, right? At a certain point, your understanding, intellectual understanding, becomes good enough that you don't have to worry about lower births. You don't have to worry about, you know, things being bad for you, because you've understood enough how to keep it going. Like, how do you keep this body going? How do you keep finances going? How do you keep relationships going? How do you, but more importantly, how do you keep a teacher going? Like, how do you keep your practice going, right? And I think that's what this teaching is this reading is about. It's like, yeah, get all of those things. Like, you want to be comfortable. If you're not comfortable, you can't meditate. I'm sorry, right? It's impossible. Like, 3 weeks of migraines, how many times did I meditate? Not much. I'll tell you that. My head hurt, right? And even when I tried to meditate, it was like, you know, fine. But how do you keep it going? And I think that's the main thing, you know, so how you can build more and more intellectualized wisdom on top of it, right? Because you can't take any, like, great, we have wonderful worldview organizations, right? You know, we have Mixed Nuts, we have DCI, we have ALL, we have YSI, we have all of them, right? But are we making businesses that are going to last forever? Maybe. But if we get stuck in the idea that it will last forever without understanding how to make it last forever, then we're just bypassing. You know, we're just getting stuck, and we're just creating misunderstanding mind, you know? So, like, I think the subtle aspect is, yes, get what you want. Like, try, but then you need to learn how to keep it. And learning to keep it is not by holding on to it. It's about giving it back away, right? Like, oh, you know, how do you share, right? You know, okay, you get more money, give it away, right? You get a nice partner, don't give your partner away, but, you know, go take care of the causes that created the partner, right? That's what I mean, you know, although in Kyoto, we're going to talk about a story about a king who gave away his partner as a bodhisattva. It's a fascinating story. But, you know, really, it's like, if you misunderstand how to get the most cherished things, or if you think that just doing the 4 steps, if you think the 4 steps are self-existent in any way, if you think the 4 steps have any power from their own side, sure, you'll get some nice results, but it won't last. It can't last. So I would say, I think the deeper you get into the practice, the more you focus on the things that will last and less on the things that won't last. You know, and that becomes unique to each person. You can't tell you what those things are.
Yay, so we are done with the program. No, not really, but it's so beautiful. Thank you, Tim.
Juan, can I add something? Tim remind me of something. He talked about the paths, and I think it's at the almost at the end of the second path, this mastery level where you like freeze the bad deeds that will take you to lower realms. And like to be on that path, I think it has like 5 or 6 indicators. And one indicator is, I remember it was that when things get like dark, when the poop hits the fan, you have a very, very like strong mind of a correct view and remember emptiness. And I think as a ruler or as a meter, that's like a sign that you're doing good. That's like, oh, so like, for example, now my dear cat Panchito, it's not moving much. He has like not many more days of life, and it's very sad. But then like in this, now it's when you have to use like all that we've learned when we are like in very difficult, sad, like dark situations. How much can we remember like emptiness? How much can we take it like with a higher view? And I think to take it to a practical way, if when the poop hits the fan, you have like a good emptiness mind, then it's like, I'm doing very good. And I think that's just, I wanted to comment that to put it in a practical way, I think that's like a good meter to know how you're doing with your development of wisdom in your mind, no? Because it's difficult when things get difficult in your life. It's difficult to have like a clear emptiness mind. It's very difficult not to get afflicted, not to be like very, not to lose the balance. It's very difficult. And I think that's a good meter. I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Then in the reading, Master Shantideva also talks about, he makes us be aware of the uncertainty of life and death. That we tend to believe that we have however many years, because we tend to think that the average lifespan is about whatever years, and we can get confident about it. But he brings to this topic like we could die anytime. So I would like just to share with the audience and with you panelists, like imagine what would you do and what would you stop doing if you knew for sure that you have only 1 week left. It would be very interesting, I think, to know like what things you will stop doing, what things you will definitely keep doing and stuff. But anyways, as far as I understand, one of the reasons he brings up this is because sometimes we may foolish ourselves, or I can, like by saying, okay, I want this, and I think getting it could be very good, and blah, 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 blah. Maybe I will have to do a few bad things in order to get it. If we have time, I would actually like to ask you a very, I kind of think of it as a traditional question, and see what you say. But before going there, so yeah, I'm gonna have to do maybe some obscure things that I don't yet know if are totally good, totally bad, but I'm gonna get the result, whatever. And then I think of myself, if anything, if I plant a bad seed, I will purify it. And then Master Shantideva and Gyelsab Je go into this like, no, wait. There is a problem here, because some seeds take longer to purify than others. I have here like very, very, very advanced teachers talking about having to purify seeds for years, like working towards this purification of a very single seed for years, like even like 5-10 years. So what if they say, Master Shantideva and Gyelsab Je, what if you don't have time to purify it? Even you try to purify it, but what if you die in a week? And maybe purifying that seed will take you 10 years, right? What will be your approach on how to live our lives as if we understand we can die at any time, any moment, tomorrow, in a week, whatever, versus living your life like we need to plan for the future, and sometimes we can plant better seeds if we do actually plan ahead. And we have, sometimes I have here this idea of like, the more spiritually advanced you are, the longer your plans start going, right? Like I plan a day ahead, I plan a week ahead, a month ahead, maybe, but like very advanced spiritual practitioners start planning like years and years and years and years ahead. What will be your take on, we don't know when are we gonna die, live your day as if it was the last day, versus plan ahead, and how you connected with this idea of, if I do a bad seed, I may not be able to purify it quick enough.
You want to take it out, or do you want me to start?
You can start, Tim, please.
I think the point of the question is, do you live every day as though it's your last? Right? You know, yeah, if someone came up to me and said, look, Tim, I'm sorry, but in 7 days you're going to die. Right? Like, I think that's a, you know, that's a, what you're kind of asking. And then you're like, well, damn, I just got mad yesterday, all these things happened. You know, they say that, you know, at the, you know, it is a powerful seed to regret everything you've done. So like if someone is dying, like, you know, getting someone to even admit, like, you know, my grandfather was, you know, a soldier in World War II, right? And he was on boats. And I know he never talked about it, but I know he participated in killing people, right? I know, you can tell, like, he's just like, he never talked about it, but, you know, you could tell, you know, and it pained me to hear some of the stories. You know, but if I could have, I didn't get a chance to, but if I imagine that if I could have got him, you know, in the last days of his life to say, you know, admit that it was wrong and that he would never do it again. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like just saying, you know, look, if someone came to me and said, look, Tim, in 7 days, you're done. Right? I probably would just be like, I'm just going to do a blanket purification. Like, yes, I've done all this dumb shit past, like with all these people, I've done all of this. Right? And I won't do it again. I got 7 days. I can probably keep that for pretty good. Right? But I think the whole point of the exercise is to be like, live as though you only have that day left. Like, you know, why, if I'm mad at someone, why stay mad? Like, okay, yeah, I got mad. The seed ripened. Fine. I'm sorry. I get mad all the time. I don't get mad all the time, but a lot. Okay. Right. I get frustrated. You know, most of it's in my own head. Right. But if I really realized that I could fall down the stairs on my way out of here. Right. And I could die, break my neck, and no one would find me till the morning, right? You know, cancel that reality, okay? But as an example, right? You know, if I live my life as though it is my last day, then I'm not going to be worried about the stupid little drama in everyday life. I would just be like, whatever. I got bigger seeds to plant. I got a 500-year plan. Even if I fall down those stairs tonight, the seeds I'm planting right now are for 500 years, right? You know, it's, you know, and then, you know, while things are good, you got to practice. You just have to practice. Like, this is why you need to get into the advanced teachings, because the advanced teachings teach you how to die. Right? They teach you what happens in the death process. Get yourself ready. Get yourself ready. That's all you do the whole time. Like, it's getting yourself ready. And oh, so it's depressing, Tim, that you're practicing dying all the time. No, it's not depressing. Because if you understand where stuff comes from, it's the most liberating thing, because anything can be anything in this moment. Sorry, translators, I know you're there. Right? Anything could be anything in any moment. So if I'm practicing dying, then I could arise as anything right now. So do I want to arise as an asshole, or do I want to arise as an enlightened being? Which one do I want to be? Some days I'm more on this side than this side, mostly on this side, but I'm trying to go this way. Right? So yeah, like, I think the point would be, don't sweat the small stuff, as we say in English. Like, don't sweat the small stuff. Like, do something that's going to help 500 years from now. Don't worry about the stupid stuff today, because the stupid stuff today is coming from past seeds anyway. So just let it go. My teachers are experts at it, and I wish I could be that good. I try. Usually I fail, right? But I try.
Beautiful. You want to say something regards that, Aldo, or I have another question for you?
Yeah, I think well, Tim basically talked about the death meditation, and I think it's a very beautiful practice. Actually, I was seeing this statistic the other day, and it's like, this is the rate people are dying in the world now. Like, I know it's depressing, but it can be very empowering to know this. Like, 1.8 people per second, almost 2. This is the rate, imagine. So as Tim said, we don't know when we're going to be this next snap, but it's depressing, but we can use it to empower ourselves. And I was just thinking, today I was with my dad, and I was thinking myself, if I knew it was going to be my last days, would I have looked at him in the same way? Would I have said the same words I said? Would I have hugged him, the same way? And it all leads you, death meditation, to empower you, must lead you to love. So if you really are mindful that you can die anytime, then you're gonna practice a deeper love in every step you take. And I think we must connect it to the kindness and compassion. So we must think about to live our life with love. And then when we're really living our life with love, as Tim said, you're gonna think in the next 500 years, the next 10,000 years, because you really have this love and you really want to have this impact and really want to change the world. So that's the way to use like a very to use death meditation as a very empowering practice and not as a depressing one. I think so. And yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I find that very interesting. Like this combination between doing things in the long term with a vision of 500 years, and at the same time thinking that at any moment things can drastically change. Basically meaning die. But I think it's cool, and there is a very interesting combination of those to chew on. I
just want to say one more thing, Juan.
Thank you. Yeah, please.
When you said basically, that in the moment everything can change, immediately, death comes. But I would say the same possibility is that Enlightened Paradise comes too in a single moment.
Beautiful.
Right? Those two things are equally possible. We're just stuck on the death side.
Great. Great, 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 great.
I just wanted to say it. I just want to say it cheaply possible.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's a very, it's a must. Thank you for bringing it up. It is. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, we have reached the time for the program, but I find this very, very nourishing. I really did find it. I'm so glad that you both came to the program, and I'm very looking forward to have you both again. Let me just tell you super quickly that one of the reasons I choose to have like a series on the Bodhisattva Charyavatara is because Geshe Michael, during the last term, he announced that he's gonna write his very first like official commentary as a part of the lineage of scriptures that have been going through 2,500 years. To me, this is a really, really meaningful and a how do you say a milestone on the lineage. Geshe Michael decided that he's gonna write a commentary on the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, and we're gonna have the chance to see that process going. He already started somehow with like a brief introduction last term, but he's gonna go deeper next term. Next term is gonna happen on January 6th, we begin. So we are, if you follow through this class, it's gonna be on Seiji's class. If you follow through it, you're gonna be able to study these topics again and go deeper and deeper on them. It's really, really, I really think that people may agree with me. It's a very, very exciting moment. Geshe Michael is writing his very first like commentary that's gonna go into the canon. Probably, he's gonna write it in the ancient West China language, and it's gonna be part of the Sungbum. So it's great. Tune up and join us. Anyways, if you want to help and support all these projects, please consider donating for Diamond Cutter Classics. You just go to the website, diamondcutterclassics.org or com. I don't remember. How can I forget that, right? Let me just check super quickly. .com, yeah, diamondcutterclassics.com. I'm gonna share the link for you. Any support is really greatly appreciated, and it's very useful to keep the translators going, to keep these projects, these programs, sharing with the audience. So it's really, really, really something nice you can do if you feel like doing it. Thank you very much. We'll see you again soon, and enjoy December. We are getting close to a Western New Year. So yeah, best wishes. Thank you for being around. Thank you, translators. Thank you, attendees. Thank you, team, so much. Thank you, Aldo, as well, so much. And we'll see soon, sometime.
Thank you, team. Thank you, Juan.
Yeah, thank you, Juan. Thank you, Aldo. Thanks for inviting me. I always love doing these things. It's a lot of fun.
Yes, it's amazing.
Very meaningful.
If we were to die today, we're in the right place.
That's right. I'll make sure I'll text you guys when I get home so you don't have to worry. All right.
Okay. But I love that, team. Thank you for that hope. Like this snap can be like our paradise too. That's beautiful. I stay with that.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thank
Have a good night or a good morning.
Thank you, Juan. Thank you, guys.